For the most part, I had made my peace over the ending of Attack on Titan. I personally gave it a 3 out of 5. It was not the worst thing that I've read, but it was obviously not the best thing which I've ever read. Personally, I felt like the overall theme for the ending was very suitable for a series like Attack on Titan, but the only thing which it lacked was definitely execution. The overall execution in the final couple of chapters was definitely a hit or a miss. Some people might like it, I'm acknowledging that, but for me personally, it was not really the best thing which I've ever read. And therefore, I had mostly decided not to make another video upon the ending of Attack on Titan and just make other random videos upon characters and whatnot, trying to understand the philosophy. But after numerous requests from you guys, I thought that alright, let's just go over this alternate fan ending created in the form of Attack on Titan No Requiem. So hello and welcome to UnYZ, my name is Soham and today we are going to talk about this alternate ending of Attack on Titan, which is obviously a fan-made ending. But before that, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to our channel, since I do weekly anime and manga related content along with a bunch of other stuff. With that being said, let's begin the video. Now before proceeding any further, some preliminary information that I need to give you all. This is obviously a non-profit fan-made ending. Please do not harass Isayama, Kodansha or even the staff of MAPPA for this, and as much as I personally or you dislike the ending, we can't really do anything about it because this is something which Isayama chose himself and we must ought to respect it. Criticisms are obviously an important part of the entire narrative, but please just do not go blindly hating upon him just because of this particular ending. And at the same time, please do not spread any untoward negativity surrounding this particular project because this is a passion project of some people, some very passionate people, because they have drawn this entire thing. And let me tell you all, before reading the story, this is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. The art here is not the best thing obviously, but for a fan-made project, this definitely looks amazing and it shows the dedication which is involved here. I wish these guys all the very best. Also, I know that I've said this numerous times before in my videos, but here I just want to reiterate this once again because it is kind of necessary for the concept of this particular story. Now, I am mostly a new fan of this series. I started this back in June of 2020, so yeah, exactly 1 year has gone by since then. I fell in love with this series, I watched this series, I read the manga and whatnot, but I was mostly not familiar with the abbreviations and major theories of this series, and it was only after the release of chapter 139 that I realized that okay, there's a major theory among the fandom called ANR, which is kind of based upon the story of Code Geass, and as such this story, this particular fan-made alternate ending is also kind of lending itself towards that particular name, so that's why it's called AOT No Requiem. Now this will mostly be a blind read through and my first initial impressions. This is obviously the first part of the series, so there is obviously going to be more which is going to come out, and this chapter is happening just after chapter 136. So there you go. With that being said, let's just jump into the story. So here we open the story with Kid Eren. Now here right out of the bat, the story is addressing some of the most important aspects of the series, something which I felt was like a failed Chekhov gun. The story of Attack on Titan dealt with some very amazing plot points, but unfortunately sometimes they felt like a failed Chekhov's gun experiment because there were just plot points raised here and there which never really got any resolution. I'm not saying that this series has to have a definitive ending or a definitive conclusion for each and every single plot, but some of the most important plots, like why Kid Eren woke up after the dream crying and the entire freedom scenes from the sky, all of those things are not really answered that well in the story. Moreover, the entire plot with the hallucinogenia, or rather the source of all living matter, all of those things are kind of a hit and miss, even though they are great plot points, but they never really get the resolution that they deserve and they just pop off the story without any major consequences, even though they are supposed to be some of the most important parts of the story. So right out of the bat, I'm really liking this story because this is addressing some of those plot points, some of those missed plot points in a way. Once again, I'm not saying that Isayama is a bad writer here because unfortunately there might be some editorial mendings whatsoever going on behind the scenes. I as a general fan do not know, so I do not want you all to spread unnecessary hatred for Isayama. Just enjoy this work. This is a fan-made ending done by some people who are really passionate about this series. So here we can see Kid Eren who is waking up inside the past dimension and he can also see his future self. And basically the entire story of this particular part 1 is that future Eren is showing the paths to Kid Eren. That is the entire story. Kid Eren is going to forget all of these things until his eventual encounter with Historia and the day when he kisses her hand, and this is basically the motivation or the boost which Kid Eren needs to move forward. The entire story here depicts adult Eren as a broken man who has tried literally everything. He has tried all the different paths, but all of them lead to one singular unity, one singular path of destruction where sacrifice is indeed needed. He tried all the different scenarios, but all of them failed, and the only possible scenario at this point is the one which needs sacrifices in the form of the absolute rumbling. And this is the reason why he has called forth Kid Eren when he woke up from the dream in the first chapter all the way back in Shiganshima. So yeah, this is definitely kind of a time loop situation. Some people might say that how is it even possible for the past dimension to have two different entities of Eren at the very same time? I honestly can't give you a proper answer for this, but this is just the fan-made story. Moreover, we also get some pretty good explanation for the hallucigenia or the source of all living matter, because here it's not just randomly appearing out of nowhere, because according to the dialogues of Zeke, this thing has existed separate from the human history and it has always dreamt of existence. It has always wanted to exist, no matter what there is. It has tried to evolve. It evolved from the hallucigenia to a flower to a tree now. And this is basically the beginning of their history, the history of mankind, the history of Eldia in a way, where we get to see Ymir, who is going down the tree of the source of all living matter and gaining the powers of the Titans. Moreover, this part is kind of similar. This is kind of similar to the story where Ymir gains the powers, but she is still bounded to King Fritz. And there is some hint here, according to the dialogues of Zeke, there is some hint here which shows that Ymir was bound to King Fritz and the Fritz family beyond something than just being a slave, which is hinting towards the story of how she was quote-unquote in love with King Fritz. It's not really the best plot point of the series of Attack on Titan, but I understand the implications of it. And here Armin, who is sitting in the paths, finally comes to the conclusion that this is the main conundrum as to why Ymir, despite having all the major powers in the world, is still bound to King Fritz. And to this, Zeke realizes, and rather both Eren realize that this is the point where Eren understood the point behind Ymir's dream, because this was the strive to move forward, the strive towards freedom. Moreover, I'm coming back to the dialogue of Zeke because there's something very interesting here. But beyond this, the freedom scene is absolutely freaking gorgeous. We get this as a callback to Kid Eren riding the clouds, spreading his arms out, calling out for freedom. This is probably my favorite panel from the entirety of Attack on Titan, and we get here more of a context because adult Eren is also standing behind him and he's the one who is calling forward for freedom here. And to this, Kid Eren says that, so finally are we free? But adult Eren's like, no, not yet. And these panels, my goodness, the art here is absolutely gorgeous. Adult Eren is really pissed off and he's obviously motivated by his anger and his drive to move forward. Now, some people might say that why is adult Eren always looking so grim and unhappy or sad for that matter, or basically like an edgelord. Now to this, I would like to say that we have to understand here that Eren changed. Change is a very substantial part of any person's character. Yeah, you might say that Eren's persona during the entirety of Marley arc is just a mask over his true feelings, but even then there is definite truth behind all of these things because of his drive to move forward. And this is much better than Eren exclaiming that he does not know what to do. That is probably one of my least favorite panels in the entirety of Attack on Titan. And yeah, some people might say that it makes sense for the character of Eren and how he was making this all of things up as a mask. But I personally am just not a fan of all of those things. I've talked about that in numerous different videos. I don't want to get into that particular debate now. It's fine if you like it, but I just personally don't like it. Therefore, I'm liking this story so far. And the rest of the panels are obviously pretty good. Grisha is also shown here, and all the shards of memories inside the paths is also shown here. From Eren Kruger passing on his powers for the Attack Titan to numerous other scenes are shown here. And basically the entire gist of all of these pages is that adult Eren wants to motivate Kid Eren that he has to move forward, he has to be the one who will end this cycle of hatred, and even though he's going to forget about all of these things when he wakes up, but all of this is unavoidable because for them, they have to assert their birthright, and therefore Eren is prepared to sacrifice the entire world for it. He's not going to stop until all his enemies are destroyed. He is going to keep moving forward. And this is the end of Attack on Titan Requiem Part 1. Now overall, I do agree that there are some iffy parts of this chapter as to how two separate entities of Eren or versions of Eren are existing at the very same time. This is not really a power of the parts which we have seen so far, so yeah, I can say that this is actually a plot hole. But either way, I'm fine with it because as a story narrative, this makes a lot of sense because it goes back to chapter 1 of the series and how Eren woke up after having a dream while he was crying. Because all of these things happened while he was in a dream, he saw how the world's destruction takes place, and that makes sense why he will obviously cry after he woke up. But despite all of that, one particular aspect of this chapter which I really enjoyed was the characterization of Zeke. I was fine with the overall character of Zeke, but he just degraded as a character towards the ending of the series. He was not really that influential of a character which he was towards the middle of the series, but here rather, his dialogues are pretty interesting to say nonetheless, because he is the one who is actually trying to find the major meaning upon life. Yeah, we understand that towards the end of the series, we tackle into subjects like nihilism and meaninglessness of life, but I feel like something like this coming from Zeke is much better than this being implemented upon Eren directly. Moreover, here he is not just concerned about cutting off the reproduction of Eldian people, but rather he's just questioning the entire meaning behind life and how or why the hallucigenia even move forward and how or why even Ymir move forward for that particular matter. All of these things directly coming from Zeke makes this scene much more impactful in my opinion. I know that the original chapter also had something like this, but the overall dialogue here is much better, and this is giving the true nihilistic approach of the series which the ending was actually trying to portray, and I feel like this would have been a much better approach instead of directly Eren saying that I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say. Therefore, so far I would say I'm pretty impressed by this particular story, and obviously I know that this is a fan-made story. This is never going to replace the official canon. It's fine if you like this more than the canon ending, and it's also fine if you don't like this so much, because at the end of the day this is just a fan-made ending. Also, once again, I just want to request you all, please do not engage in unnecessary hatred or abuses towards anyone for that matter. Not even for the creators of this fan ending, not even for Isayama, not even for Mappa, not even for Kodansha. Please just stop this thing. We have been through all of that. We have been through all of those toxicity. I don't want to see that anymore. So that's it for today guys. Thank you so much for joining. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more. Also, please join the channel membership for some very cool perks and features. And finally, please join our Discord server as well. We have a lot of discussions in relation to anime, manga, and more. With that being said guys, this is Wonder by Z, and I'll see you soon on the next one.